This plant here is called Pseudorhipsalis ramulosa, and it's typical throughout Central and South America. I actually got this particular plant going on I think about 4 years now, and it was on sale. I love plants on sale. It was on sale at my local garden center because it was looking really, really bedraggled. I think it was probably sitting there for quite some time. And so I purchased it. And I think I've done a pretty good job kind of reviving it a little bit because it was pretty brown, but there were some definitely green bits on it. And you can see it's a little bit bald on top because I don't have any overhead light. It's actually getting some light from a northeast facing window. So really kind of gentle light. But Pseudorhipsalis is typical. A lot of people grow this in a little bit stronger light because they love how it gets this reddish purplish hue, which you obviously can't see on this particular plant because I'm growing it in very, very gentle light. But if you want to take a look at what it looks like, just Google it, because a lot of the ones that you'll find online are actually this kind of red purple hue. And you need to be growing it in a little bit more intense light for that to happen. However, these plants aren't typically used to actually growing in that intense of light. These are a little bit more of, I would consider a little bit more like a jungle cactus, although it is not a rhipsalis. It's called Pseudorhipsalis for a reason. And the ramulosa actually means that it's branching. So you can see that it kind of branches off and it has a lot of this like kind of twiggy look. But these particular leaves are nice and flat. And like I said, if you're growing it in a little bit of a brighter light, it is going to get that kind of pinkish purplish hue from the anthocyanins that are emerging, which actually protects the plant from ultraviolet rays. As far as soil goes, I did not actually take this out of the nursery basket. I've just been growing it in its own nursery basket and kind of hanging it up, which is atypical for me because I usually like to put it into a nicer container. But this one was, it looked so bad for so long that I actually didn't really want to stress it out anymore and put it in its own basket. So I've just been growing it in its own nursery basket for a while. But I would say that the soil is getting a little compact, so I might actually take a little toothpick or some tongs and actually just start to break up the soil a little bit because I feel like this is probably not getting as much water as it should. And as far as watering goes, this doesn't necessarily need a tremendous amount of water, especially being in a northeast facing window. I water this, I would say, once a week to almost once every 2 weeks. Whereas if I was keeping this a little bit further away from my southwest facing window, I'd probably water it twice a week and have it in a little bit more of a well-draining mix. It does like a little bit more humidity. I mean, it is from that kind of subtropical, tropical arena, so it's going to want to have a little bit more humidity, but it's not going to kill you if it's, or it's not going to die if it's in a little bit lower humidity, provided that you're giving it a little bit more water. Because otherwise, these will actually start to pucker a little bit, and then they'll start to dry out and get brown. And that's an unfortunate thing because it starts to look a little bit bedraggled like how I actually got this plant to begin with. As far as fertilizing goes, you could get away with maybe a succulent fertilizer like a 2,4,7, and you could do that on a quarterly basis. But as long as I've had this plant for about 4 years now, I've had no pest pressures whatsoever, and it's generally a low maintenance plant.